Game number 1 in the best of 3 series at the grand final of the GO4Heroes, ladies and gentlemen. We are currently looking at a match where we have Elysium Gaming going up against the Misfits, and the first map is Battlefield of Eternity. This is a best of 3, and to the left side of the map we have Mitch on Rega. We're currently seeing Bad Benny on Anubarak, we have Neon on Liming, AD Ardi on Lili, so a double support with Lili once again, and why? Well, not only because Valvetta, but also because there's an Illidan on the other side of the map. A Blade on Kalthas for the team, and to the right side, as you can see already, we have Nasty on Abathar, we have Lumpy on Falstad, we are seeing Curson on Karazim, Taloof on Illidan, and ETF on top on Muradin for the Misfits. Battlefield of Eternity, a 2-lane map, and well, that double support against Illidan with the Lili has become, I don't really want to say the norm, but it's definitely one of those counterplays that you can put in against an Illidan. So she's not only looking for adventure, she's also usually pretty fierce when it comes down to annoying Illidan, and especially when we're talking about the Blinding Wind, that's one of the main tools that you're trying to use against Illidan. Normally when you have the double support Lili comp against an Illidan player, then you're also going into the Water Dragon. And, well, that's a kill right there. Karazim is down. ETF. Oh my god. That looked for a second like Neon would be able to confirm kill number 2 with his orb on Liming. But yeah, the dodge of ETF in time. Still not the best start here for the Misfits, but of course just losing a hero in the early on a lane where there already are 3 heroes is really not the end of the world. The experience advantage that your opponents get is pretty small. At this point, we're seeing a pressurized glance. Abathar, of course, doing the Illidan thing, trying to go for a build that really focuses a whole lot around the melee assassin. Level 13 and 16 are going to be very crucial for him as well, because on those talents, they're simply able to go straight into, let's say, like the extra heal, the extra slow. So they're definitely going to try and focus as much as they can on the spike burst here with Illidan. At the same time, Illidan himself going into Immolation. We're having now also Transcendence taken, we're seeing Reverberation, we have the Gathering Storm, and especially when we're talking about setups, heroes that of course need to be very careful about is also that Liming. You can play this map with a few different styles. You can either go for a lot of the poke damage, for example. You're at the same time also in a position where you of course can attempt to win the team fights, and that's something that the Misfits are going to try and do here. They want to jump deep with Illidan and try to take targets down, and Abathar is going to help out with that as he's also attempting to split soak the lanes. Illidan gets the support very late of Abathar, and he went a bit too deep here. They pressured Elysium back, but now they lost their melee assassin, and with that they have to yield the field. They need to make sure that they focus on a bit of a rush against the Immortal, and that is a battle that they won't really be able to win. So Illidan is going to be back soon enough, since the death timers this early in the game are still very low. But they need to try and force that fight once again. It looks, at least for now though, as if we are seeing a bit of a pressure play by Elysium. They're attempting to turn the Immortal down immediately. Illidan actually, in the meantime, trying to go for the Immortal himself. Taloof deciding that it's a bad idea. Well, actually, like he's moving back and forth here, a bit hesitant. But so far, they're actually defending over here quite nicely against Elysium. So this is not looking too bad for them. Especially since Abathar already picked up level 4. For the Misfits, so that gives them a slight advantage. Even the Adrenal Overlord now taken, plus the hammer gains, ETF jumping out, but they still are putting massive pressure onto that Immortal, and they are taking it down once again. So the Immortal down, Abathar going for a bit of split push experience. We're seeing also Thunderburn, we're seeing Reverberation. We have at the same time the Protective Shield on Karazim now taken. So he's going to try and get some extra healing here for Illidan as well. Like the entire composition for the Misfits is really centered around Illidan. They want to create space for Falstad in the backline, try to keep Illidan alive and let him go deep. That's the whole plan here. The Palm is going to be there. We're going to see also, of course, a lot of heals being dished out. Karazim will go in with Illidan, and they're, of course, always going to attempt to use Abathar in a way that he can just help out Illidan as much as possible and get extra damage in with his own spells too. Lili went for the Mending Serpent, full Serpent build for now, not going into a single talent yet for her Blinding Wind, just relying on the base ability to put the pressure on Illidan. And so far she's actually doing quite nicely here. We're seeing Energy Royal, which is a bit of an adjustment on the side of Kalthar, so they want to get the cooldown reduction for the Gravity Lapse. They're having up at the top lane now also the Immortal falling. And again, Taloof is starting to go deep, and he wants to go for the potential kill here. Taloof is there, Bad Benny is the target, and they might actually kill Anubarak, and indeed they do. They take him down. Blade also getting really low for a moment, had to tap and got also healed, but that's of course well played. They lost the wall, but they still took down the Immortal, and then they turned the fight around and got the kill against Anubarak on top of it. So really well done here. Experience is also looking very solid for them. Mitch is basically just saying hi, sitting in the corner like the good dog that he is, but they are waiting and they are trying to get the kill, and Lumpy! What? Lumpy actually falls! Okay, I mean, that was basically them writing a letter, bringing it to the post office, and then sending it as slow as they possibly could and just telling the Misfits, listen guys, we're gonna get this camp. And for some reason, they just didn't respect that at all. They saw Rega and they're basically just saying like, good doggy, what you gonna do, doggy? Nothing, that's a good doggy. And they completely like disregarded the fact that there might be other heroes lurking in the shadows, and then Blade was, well guys, like if you do all the work, I guess we're gonna take them, right? So they move in, snipe in Falstad, and then, well, Illidan is basically just to say like, alright, I guess this is not gonna work out anymore. Yeah, never lucky, I guess. So they do the work, the camp gets stolen, puts the pressure onto the keep. At the bot lane, Abathur, by the way, gets pressured. Hardy is also chased away by the symbiote, and Lumpy flying in, trying to confirm a kill, but he is a bit too late for that. So, first of all, we have now Calamity taken. The camps are also timed with the Immortal quite nicely on both sides, the Shaman camp. And I mention Calamity because we actually see on level 1 for Li Ming the Power Hungry. And oftentimes on this map you go into the Ether Walk if you are trying to play a Calamity build. It's a 2-lane map, so normally you don't get too much out of Calamity here. When you're talking wave clear, of course. I mean, in fights it can still be very useful, especially if you're going for the dominance, which allows you to go a bit deeper, as long as you get the kill, of course. But the reason why you go Ether Walk together with Calamity is that you actually get the additional jumps in, and it's a lot more damage around the Immortal that you can push out with that. So it's one of the reasons why you oftentimes see that combo in games on Battlefield of Eternity. When we're talking about the level 7 talents, then again, we are also now seeing the Hunter's Onslaught. So that's also going to be a pretty interesting ability on Illidan, because it's really something that we oftentimes don't see. Defensive talents is usually what Illidan is really all about, but right now the Hunter's Onslaught is making sure that you are getting a little bit more heal and sustain. Yeah, well, that didn't go well. Down goes Karazim and Meridian, and that's definitely not how you want to start a fight, and Illidan is also dead. I can understand the impulse to go for the Hunter's Onslaught here and getting the increased heal, but still, at that point, it just didn't do anything. If you want to get a lot of value out of this talent, you need to make sure that it's really a long fight. And the only thing that we saw in this battle was a quick burst against 2 heroes that immediately died and then didn't have the opportunity anymore to support Illidan. So that kind of backfired fast. Up to the top, we have Nasty still slugging it out with the minions. But this is, of course, another massive Punisher. And I mean, these bad boys are starting to do... Yeah, they are getting pretty strong. I mean, look at that shield. That's nearly 100% shield. The pressure play at the bot lane was more or less designed to just snipe another tower so that they get a bit of an experience. You have to put yourself into the position of the Misfits. They're in a really shitty spot right now, and they want level 10 because they know that it's already bad enough that they lost the Punisher, the Immortal as hard as they did. But they also need to make sure that they somehow are able to maybe make a play here with level 10, because if they have to defend against the Immortal with the opponent running their heroic ability against them, then they're in trouble, and they know that. But it really feels like they can't do anything about losing that fort. By the way, look at that, jug of 1,000 cups. Oh my god, like Lily, you had the chance to go for the water dragon, all right, and you didn't do it. 80 RD. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? This is, by the way, going to result in 0 kills. And I mean, if you're talking about Lily, the only thing that can really be done about her is, I guess, Meridian trying to jump in and stun her out, or we are going to see Falstad with a Mighty Gust attempt. But overall, if you think about it, that's massive sustain. And it's one of the reasons why the solo tank, by the way, the solo tank in Ubarak, we haven't even touched on that. The solo tank in Ubarak is now supported not only by 2 healers, he's supported by Ancestral Healing and by the Jugs, and that means that he can go Cocoon. So either he Cocoons Illidan, or he just simply says, like, you know what, bro, I'm going to Cocoon like the Karazim player every single time I'm trying to snipe you. Good luck trying to palm that. So, yeah, I'm very curious to see how that's going to work out for them, to be absolutely honest with you. But at the same time, I really don't see what the Illidan team can do here right now. I want to see how exactly they are going to try and counteract that. Because Lili heal against mainly Illidan pressure, plus on top of that, then also, of course, the Ancestral healing is going to be a bit dirty. And I mean, keep the healing, like chain heal in mind as well, right? Mitch is going to have a field day with that too. So at this point right now, we are also seeing, just to point that out, yeah, what are we seeing? I saw something. I wanted to tell you about it, but I already missed it. There's the cocoon already. Yeah, they're taking it down. Lili with the ult, using that. And so far in the fight, nothing really happened. Except for Elysium throwing 3 of their heroic abilities away. So, yeah, that didn't really do a whole lot for them. Oh yeah, exactly. I remember what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the level 7 on Lumpy. He actually went into the Iron Forge. No, sorry, no, he didn't. Meridian went into the Iron Forge momentum. I was just like, wait, this is crazy. Since when has false stat cooldown reduction? Alright. Yeah, I just thought I was crazy. That's probably why it slipped my mind again. I mean, look at these 2 bad boys. One is a... What is false stat actually? Is it a man? Is it a dwarf? Is it a gnome? I don't really know, to be honest. I think the World of Warcraft, like, nerds out there that know the lore, they will probably be able to tell me. But they have a beard, both of them. They have a pretty big nose. It's an honest mistake, alright? It's an honest mistake. And I was just like, look at that. False stat suddenly has Iron Forge momentum. I must have missed that patch. Why don't more people take that? Well, probably because it's not a thing. I thought I was crazy. I was just like, I would take that too. Never knew I could. And I played false stat in every single game last week. So, yeah, a bit weird. Alright, from that brain fart back to the actual game. We have 6 kills against 1. And the Illidan team is just basically having a lot of trouble here. And it really shows that teams have been able to really figure out how to deal with Illidan. He's still one of the mainly banned heroes there, but overall they're doing well. There's already the web being used, they're jumping in, the jugs are out, and what does that mean? They can't kill anything. They're trying to go for it again, but look at this. There's so much heal. There's the Divine Palm to Loof. Hit a lot of heroes with a Metamorphosis and got quite some HP back at the same time now, though. And they're starting to move in once more around the... Yeah, they're trying to muster up a defense. We have Abath at the top lane trying to get experience, but basically the Misfits are just every single fight going completely balls to the wall. They're going really ham, but they can't do anything. They can't secure a kill. And this is starting to... Yeah, basically be a massive problem for them. They're going so deep right now. We are being on level 13, the surging winds taken. We're seeing the illusionist. We have now also the eradicating spines. I mean, right now, with even the earth shield being dropped, how do you kill anything? Even a double Illidan, as annoying as it might be, is not able to interrupt Lili once that she starts the ult. And that's the problem. They have very few interrupts. They can basically only use Meridian. And we are not looking at the old Avatar, where every single Avatar auto-attack just had that mini-stun going on. So he has to hit that Stormbolt. There's no other choice, and he can't do that if he's dead either. I mean, great isolation here again by Khaldor, making sure that he's locked down, so they get the damage in. And at the same time, we're having now everybody else just breaking straight through the wall up at the top. It's 13 versus 13, but I don't really think it even matters anymore. Already the copy there, double false stat, trying to get the damage in. Nasty was at the bot lane, busy pushing that in. But yeah, right now they're starting to jump in pretty deep. Nasty is there, he's trying to go for it. Oh, and well, that is already the end of the copy of false stat. This is also the end of the keep, by the way. So both died. That means that Abathar is at the bottom again. I'm not so sure if that's really the spot where you want to be. I mean, they are going to come back up. Okay, so he's burrowing away. Just slubbering. And yeah, the slug. Ah, I love this guy. Abathar is one of my favorite heroes to play. He's just fun. AD already again with the heals. And guess what? If you don't have an interrupt, then the jugs are pretty good. I still would have loved the Water Dragon. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, level 20, double dragon. Hell yeah, count me in. So we have 15 versus 14, 7 kills against 1, and Abathar still doing his thing. The Misfits are playing this as well as they possibly can. They're trying to soak the experience with Abathar to counteract a bit with the damage that has been done to their structures. But of course, it's really starting to show that they have not what it takes to win an Immortal. They have not won a single Immortal so far. They are struggling to take down structures. They are struggling to take down heroes, and it's a massive problem for them. Falset still with 40,000 damage, doing very well here. Li Ming is currently at 39k herself. But they're jumping in once more. Bad Benny is there, starting to move away, but there's already the Phoenix, and Taluf cannot stay. He needs to move back. Curson is low. That's a problem. He has the heals. Taluf, where's the stun? Benny misses them, but Curson is extremely low, about to die, palms himself, as all good monks do, and there's immediately a web that also denies the dash target to Karazim. He falls. They can isolate once again Illidan, and that's the end of the melee assassin. Very well played. Coordinated play from Elysium in this first game here, and they are doing a very solid job at actually running this. Up to the top lane, we're currently seeing Nasty still attempting to somehow get them to 16, but it is just barely possible for him. The biggest problem, of course, is the announcement of the Immortal. It's already about to spawn, and we still have another 5 seconds on Karazim. We have 12 seconds on Illidan, so they get a massive lead. They will go through the halftime show without basically losing any huge points on their own Immortal, as you can tell already. Lumpy and ETF on top, plus, of course, Abathar are trying what they can, but there's very little they can do. They're not really the damage-heavy heroes in this case right now. They want Illidan, they want the fight. The entire idea of this Illidan draft was, of course, to bring the pain towards the opponent's backline. And that just doesn't work. They can't do it. It's a brilliant draft that we have from the mad scientist once again. AD, RD, and his Elysium guys are doing very well here thus far. And they are starting to jump in once more. 16 talents already, 16 versus 15, and we have Mirror Ball now. We are seeing the Serpent Sidekick, which puts Lily's damage, of course, even higher, and also the Master of Flames right now. I mean, take a look at Lily's damage here. She's at 21,000, which isn't really too bad. It's not like she's overtaking Kalthas or anything, but still, this is very solid damage output on her part. They're trying to go in again. Here comes the double Illidan, and they're going for it, but they need to coordinate on the target, and guess what? The Jugs are there. ETF misses the Stormbolt. No interrupt against Lily. Nasty loses the copy, and Taluf is trying to get away, but there's the web again against the healer. He's isolated too. Taluf is falling as Anubarak goes deep, and to the left we see Curson isolated by Blade, and this is going to be his demise. Yes, he palms himself, but besides that, what exactly can he do? He can, well, they're not chasing him. Alright, I guess if they're not chasing him, then he doesn't die. Yeah, making me look the fool. It's actually the smart choice, let's be honest. They go for the Immortal instead, and they're just saying, like, why would we kill him? They're just wasting time here. Let's go for the Immortal. They could have killed him, though. If Anubarak moves in with them, and they try to get the kill for sure, then they have it. I guess with Anubarak just going immediately for the Immortal, they didn't really have what it takes anymore once the Curson could jump back. Pretty decent escape by him, all things considered. If he dies, then they have even less of a chance to defend against this. Not quite sure if Bad Benny should have maybe moved down and confirmed the kill because, well, as I said, if they actually want it, they get it. But I guess they didn't really want to waste that much time, which is fairly understandable. It's still level 16 now versus 16 talents, but I don't really think it's going to matter anymore. They're jumping in again, and, well, there is again ETF, low, and dead. Dead, dead, and deader than dead. So now we have also Karazim down, we have the copy down, we have also Muradin down, this is Falstad, and well guys, I mean, this is game. You can't really do anything here. Muradin, by the way, not going for the healing static, went for the spell shield against Kalthas Li Ming. Not really a combo that you see too often, by the way. Kalthas Li Ming is usually not played that much. The Slug is also killed, and I mean, when Abathar dies, you really know that the game's over. There's also given the exit has now been taken, so in this case, it's going to be an easy 1-0 lead in this best of 3 series at the final for the team in blue for Elysium Gaming. 15 kills against 1, and they take the lead after winning it on Battlefield of Eternity. Game number 2, guys, the GO4Heroes final, and we have, again, some CHromie play. And we have the Misfits going up against Elysium. CHromie is really a hero that Elysium loves to play on this map. And at this point, we're having Mitch on Rhaegar for Elysium. We see Bad Benny on Muradin. We have Blade on Sonya. Neon, of course, on his CHromie. And AD Ardy is playing Falstad in this game. To the right side of the map, ETF on top currently on ETC, Taluf on Tassadar, Curson on Uther, so a double support play for them, Lumpy on Kalthas, and Nasty is playing Tychus. They were trying to take down their opponent in the last game with an Illidan composition on Battlefield of Eternity, which didn't really work out for them. And at this point, we have to find out if they can maybe turn this around. But we have seen that CHromie play of Neron already a couple of times, so let's see if they might be able to take him on here. They run a solo tank at the front line, by the way. ETF on top on his ETC right now will have to be very careful. I mean, we already have him with a double support, so that's definitely going to help keeping him alive. And look at Neon again, already getting the shots in against Lumpy. I mean, like, Neon is just a beast. This guy is a bit of a monster. And of course, on level 1, he straight away went into the compounding ether once again, as you can see here. We're having up to the top lane already a Blade whirling away here and trying to make his plays down to the bottom of the map. We're seeing ETF on top on Curson as well. And well, at this point right now, it's of course all about the stacks for Neon. That's basically... Oh, the hits again! It's like Neon has a bit of a homing missile instead of that Sandblast. So yeah, he is already doing solid work. And for like few of you out there that might not really know CHromie all too well, with a Sandblast you get additional damage after you hit 25 heroes. Neon usually does that pretty early in the game, so his damage output is normally very strong. And what they really love to play is just a double front line with CHromie on this map, so that they have a very huge backline, a strong front line that they can use to simply zone for CHromie, so that she is safe in the back and can get the damage in. Oftentimes we're seeing a Nubarak for them as well. In this case, it's a Sonya that they rely upon, which of course has a huge amount of presence on the shrine later on. And that shrine presence is something that they definitely have to watch out for. Falsehood is another hero that can also keep CHromie safe with Mighty Gust after level 10, but it's not only about CHromie. The setup that they're running here is great as is. If you get a Sonya together with a Rhaegar, then you're always in a very good spot, because you get very good shrine presence, and you have Whirlwind together with also, of course, Slam, Shattered Ground, normally the level 4 talent, plus, of course, the Lightning Shield on Rhaegar himself. So the wave clear is pretty phenomenal on those heroes. Besides that, we have on level 1 now the Dash taken for Taike. So another quest talent that we already have here. And at the same time now, with the team starting to hit level 4, we're seeing, of course, a Wolf build for Rhaegar, Feral Heart, and Wolf Run right now. Top lane, by the way, massive pressure with 3. So they give up the first Immortal again, which is actually pretty interesting if you think about it. I mean, oftentimes teams with the Sylvanas try to do that. Zul is oftentimes away from the shrine, but they are just simply giving up the first Immortal. And we've seen them do this in the past already. So at this point, they're just going straight in. They're going to make sure that they get as much value out of this push at the top lane as they possibly can. And of course, the whole idea is to make sure that this Punisher is not really getting the opponent ahead. But the Misfits reacted quite nicely. They rotated hero to the top to soak experience, and they rotated hero in the middle to do the same thing there. So they are just trying to stay ahead in experience and get value out of the Punisher. And this bad boy didn't even jump. There's no range attack down here. So the wall falls, and again we are seeing a mistake on the side of Elysium. The Misfits are capitalizing on it right now. They went through the entire wall, they have a lead in experience, and they are now starting to go for the fort itself, which they are very likely to drop very low, if not even take down. And that is a pretty big misplay by Elysium. They needed to keep someone down at the bot lane. They could have baited the Punisher in, and they didn't do that. So even though I like the idea to push the top lane as a counter, they now find themselves nearly a level behind, and that is definitely a problem. Neon, of course, just continuing with his shots. He has Piercing Sands, by the way, this time. Normally he goes for the auto-attack damage with the talents, but right now we are seeing Möbius Loop and the Piercing Sands, so it's a bit of an adjustment for him, especially since he wants to hit that backline. But it's still quite interesting that we had such a rotation mistake on the side of Elysium, because normally, especially on this map, they are pretty strong with that. But as is, we are still seeing them slightly behind. They will be able to catch up in experience, though. It's not really a massive lead just yet. But that could, of course, change if we are seeing a bit of a victory in one of these fights for the team in red. Now they lose Tassadar in the mid lane first, which is definitely going to bring the level 7 talent for Elysium. But the Misfits, they need to win 2 in a row if they really want to win this tournament. So they need to definitely pay a bit more attention to the rotations of the opponent too. Cleanse now taken. We have the Iron Forge momentum once again. We're seeing the Ferocious healing, and we have on top of that the Boomerang. Gathering Storm taken for AD RD, so he has the extra AoE damage on the shrines themselves, of course. Up to the top lane now, we're currently seeing Blade and Curson in a situation where they're just trying to soak experience. Blade is missing another spear here. But especially when we're talking CHromie, she's of course looking for a few targets that she might be able to just knock out there. Gravity Crush is now taken, Netherwind, we have that as well. Lumpy is at the same time also just hiding behind the wall, trying to take the experience and trying to hide CHromie shots. Sorry, to dodge them, of course. So far he's actually doing that quite nicely, but yep, again. He's actually trying to even get a little bit closer to the little gnome there. CHromie McGnomie. ETF already in the mid lane, and I mean both of the teams are waiting for the shrine to activate, and that's the mid shrine this time. So both of the teams don't have their level 10s yet, but we're gonna have that time loop for CHromie in just a moment when she hits level 9. She gets her talents, of course, a bit faster, a bit earlier, and level 9 will give her her ability. Both of the teams with very good timing, by the way, on the camps, and this one is actually taken quite nicely at a time, and even the tower here could help to deep-push that a little bit. AD tries to take it down, and once he does that, he puts pressure onto the Misfits in the middle as they're still going for the shrine. Benny jumps out, 10 against 8 of those stacks, but here comes Falstad, and as I said, the top lane is now going to push hard. So this is going to put the Misfits between a rock and a hard place. Do they deep-push the top lane? Do they save the towers and the fort, or do they just continue to try and go for the objective? Right now, the teams are both aiming for level 10, and that would of course change the entire dynamic of the fight here. Again, Neon just firing away. He wants to go for the extra range later on too, but for now he has to rely on the smaller one just a little bit longer, and he gets those hits in. Look at Toulouf, he's nearly dead, and with Pierce we are seeing Neon get even more value out of his Sandblast. Again, the jump away, Neon hitting home once again, Curson being hit this time. Both of the teams close to 10, top lane still pushing. Quest talent is about to be completed, by the way, and we're only 6.5 minutes in. We're seeing the loop, of course. They're trying to go for Curson in the back. ETF is also very low, but Benny is trying to take him down here. That red team is losing the Punisher too, and they lose ETC. There's the loop and the potential kill, but not this time. 10 versus 10. Push in the mid lane right now. Up to the top lane, the camp went deep as well, went through the wall here. Great lead here already on the side of the blue team. Elysium, they're not really too far ahead in experience. Actually, at this point, they're a bit behind. But that's going to change soon enough, once those towers and the walls fall, and we are seeing the blue team going deep for it. They also have now the completed quest talent on CHromie, and that's going to increase the damage on Neon even more, which is going to be very important for them then later on here. We're currently seeing Bad Benny just trying to zone a little bit for that backline. Falstad up at the top has done a great job pushing additional pressure onto the fort and even draining it of ammunition. And he is actually very likely to get it extremely low. He can't really take it down since there's a rotation heading his way from the mid lane. But they are still in a very solid spot here now that they took out the wall in the mid lane, now that they also destroyed the one up at the top with pressure on both of the forts already. And they are finding themselves in a very solid position. Not really had an experience. Again, we're going to see very likely even talent fights also for the next Punisher. But of course, the big part is also that the lane pressure is always strong. The fort lost at the bot lane, that's a bit of a concern on the other hand. So they have to really take care of that lane a little bit more, because if the Punisher, for example, or the Shrine spawns at the bot lane, they still have the well. That should have been taken down, but they might lose that and lack the sustain there if the opponent starts to pressure through. It's actually a bit of a lack or an oversight that we had from the Misfits, that they did not go for that. But if I remember correctly, they had to retreat since there was a full defense against them and the Punisher was about to fall. Now we're having a bit of lane pressure established with camps taken again. And we saw that already in the mid lane where ETF and Lumpy are currently pushing the Khazra camp. But up at the top, AD is just still doing his thing. And Toulouf has to really shield the hell out of the fort now, the entire time. And AD can of course make the rotation to the bot lane, if it's needed, much faster than simply flying down. The level 13 talent with the reaching through time is also an additional problem for the Misfits, since now CHromie can stay even farther in the back when she's starting to fire her shots. And when we're talking about damage output, for example, CHromie has 22,000 and is therefore easily doubling the damage that we see on the highest damage dealer for the Misfits, Tychus in this case. So this is again Neon's play. And if you play CHromie, we've been over this, you have to just stay safe in the back. If you go at one point a little bit too greedy, too far to the front, and you are getting taken out, then your team is losing a massive, massive poke hero there. And AD is doing exactly what we expected. He has the perfect position right now. The Shrine is at the bot lane, he can simply move in. He's trying to snipe this one first, and it looks very much like he can actually do that. Could simply go for Lightning Rod here too, if you really wanted to, and yep, he does. So he's going to take the fort, and then he's going to fly down. The wall is not going to do anything against him. I'm sorry, like Cassidy. Down at the bot lane, the fight is already starting. 13 is there thanks to the fort that was just taken down. Mystical Spear, healing static. We're seeing the Earth Shield on Rhaegar, and we have also the full set combo trying to go for the additional area, for the additional for the additional ability damage with the Flow Rider and Eric Aster later on. Already, the mosh pit, it's dodged though, and also pushed away. No value. They used Phoenix, they used Mosh, and they used the drill, and they got nearly nothing out of it. Only the drill giving them a bit of value, but that's already about it. And now there's the save of Neon. Neon a bit too far out for once, but he's still getting the damage in, and thanks to the Piercing Sands on level 4, he's doing a lot of that. So he's just poking from a distance, the Punisher taken again by the blue team, and now they can just simply march through the bot lane. The well is still up, and that allows ADRD to tap real quickly. Mitch can do the same thing if he needs the mana. And the Punisher is already starting to move in. Baited in. Yep, there comes the jump, and they're going straight for it. ETF on top is there, and they're attempting to take down the fort, and they should really make sure that this one falls. They might even get through the wall at the keep if they make it, if they do it well. But yeah, at this point, ADRD is just like trying to get a bit more ability damage in, getting actually very far out there, even a little bit out of position. There's always the threat that your opponent turns and tries to snipe you, so he was a bit far out in this case. But they don't really pressure the bot lane too much, because they simply say, hey, we can get an additional keep or additional fort for free in the middle of the map. And that's where they are currently headed, to make sure that another fort falls and they are getting a bigger lead in experience. Level 13 talents were in the last fight, and in the end, of course, ready for both of the teams, which means in this case that we're having, after already the trade improved in the rhythm on 4, now also the that's the stuff, where you have a bit of additional sustain for Tychus himself. And besides that, we are also looking, of course, again at the damage numbers. And Tychus still able to do a lot. He has good targets at the front line with the Sonya, but most of all, of course, the Muradin. His percentage damage is really going to do a lot in these cases. We're having, at the same time now, also 38,000 for CHromie, so that poke that we see from Neon is actually like very strong. And besides that, they took all the forts in the map. It's only the keeps that really still stay here. And this brings us back to the original point that I was making, where you actually lose a lot of the sustain on the map when you don't have access to your fountain, to your well anymore on those forts. So that's definitely a definite disadvantage on the side of the Misfits if they're going into the next Shrine fight. And they might not even go for it, since level 16 will soon be ready for the Elysium team, and they don't have that yet. They're still fighting here. ETF can't stay there though. CHromie trying to hit that again, but not in time. And the damage output that we're seeing right now on her is absolutely insane. Especially since she's starting to get a lot of value out of her... She gets so much value out of her Piercing Sands in a lot of these team fights. 49,000 right now in damage, which is pretty much insane. And the level 16 talent now, of course, allows her also to stack the additional ability damage. They're having also Airy Gust taken. We're seeing now the Earth Grasp Totem. We have the Imposing Presence, and Muradin still has to make his choice. Could go into... Well, there's a couple of options right now on level 16. We've seen actually given the Axe taken a lot. We have seen, for example, also still the additional heal with the thingy, like the thing that heals you, the D. Damn it, the trait. Stone form, thank you. Thanks guys. So with the stone form, or you can just simply go into the heavy impact, which is something that especially on the Chinese and Korean server is used a little bit more these days. So you can actually do that too and try to get that extra stun in, which by the way helps you, of course, also against like locking that back lane, there we go. Back lane down a little bit harder. Yeah, like, I don't know. It's brain fart galore right now here on Khaldor TV, like one after another. I'm stumbling over my own words today. I don't know why. Heavy impact is there as already hoped for, but we have 16 versus 16, so the Misfits actually successfully reached the talent before the Shrine is a big issue, but it's 29 stacks against 5 already, and that is such a massive disadvantage that they either have to confirm a kill right now or they will lose another Punisher. And with ETF actually being this low already, they have absolutely no presence on the Shrine. The solo tank works not really out for them, especially with that heavy poke that we are seeing on the side of their opponent. And Elysium is getting another Punisher, and they want more. Bad Benny even trying to go for Tassadai here. He kind of misjudges a little bit where he thinks that Tassadai is, and doesn't hit there. But Taluf still just trying to get back here. And the entire time, barrage after barrage. CHromie. Neon on CHromie. He's just there the entire time, firing away like a machine gun. And he is doing that over and over again. And with Pierce, like his damage is getting completely out of control. 63,000 already. And he's still getting that in. Boom! Now he has, of course, soon access to his level 20 talent. And that means that we are seeing him with even more of that. They might not be able to take down the keep just yet, but they definitely went through the wall. They had a massive amount of pressure up against the Misfits, and they are, again, ahead in experience by roughly a level. They get the kill against Tazadai even, and now they might be able to confirm another one. Here's the time loop, and is it the kill against ETF? It's a mosh pit, and it doesn't do anything. Well, not quite bad. Benny danced a little bit, but we already knew that the dwarf is actually... Like, the dwarf has a lot of rhythm. That guy, he just knows how to dance. The ladies are all getting weak when he's nearby. I mean, he is a party animal. That dwarf can dance, baby. So right now, we're seeing at least Muradin showing us his skills on the dance floor a little bit, but that's the only thing that the mosh pit really accomplished. Besides that, ETC still died, and now we have 18 versus 17, and we have also another aggression immediately against another camp on the map right now. So with that, we are having also False HSD pushing the bot lane, thanks to his gathering Storm. This is going to be an easy task for him. Of course, Boomerang helps with it too. We're having 120,000 of siege damage in his part, and that makes him the the hero that dished out the most siege damage during the entire game so far, at least. 33,000 damage for Tychus. We're having, well, Kel'Thas has 18,000 damage, just to give you a bit of a comparison there. We're currently seeing him on the same level that Sonya has, so he's not really doing too bad considering the Sonya damage output, but if you compare it to Li Ming, then yeah. Yeah, Li Ming is not here, by the way, but we have CHromie, so yeah. They look slightly different, so again, today is apparently Brain Fart Day. So that's going to happen a few more times, I suppose. I don't know why, but yeah, prepare yourself, right? Past and future me for CHromie right now, and Neon is just hitting that button whenever it's up. He's just like, yeah, another one. He's a little bit like Oprah right now. You get a sandblast. You get a sandblast. Everybody gets sandblasted. So yeah, Neon, the Oprah of Heroes of the Storm, at least when he's playing that hero. Cursen! And okay, Cleanse and Divine Shield, always great tools. A lot of players actually still don't know that you can cleanse the time loop. We've seen that already a few times here. In this case, Divine Shield had to be used. There was a nice cooldown burn that we saw from him. ETF is very far out there. Yeah, he got a bit lost on the map. So right now, the Shrine is about to activate up at the top. The Drill is in play down here, but they just simply move away from it. Oh, but... Uh-oh, that's the kill against CHromie. The Misfits with the play that they needed to make sure that they have a fighting chance here. The Misfits going for the CHromie kill, and now they have the control of the Shrine. The beginning of a comeback? It very well could be. 40 more seconds, and ETF, he goes for the mosh pit, but again, there is Mitch, and that cleanse is saving Falstad. Falstad saved for now. That's another heroic ability that is on cooldown, but they're still in a position where they can easily just take the Punisher. But look at what we are seeing Elysium do. They're simply just going through the middle, where the keep is already down, and they're starting to move down to the bot lane, where they put the pressure in. This is forcing, of course, also a TP, ETF on top, and Lumpy are both just using the Hearthstone to get back. And the second tower is down. That means that we have now also the level 20 talents. So we're seeing, in this case, the Storm talents coming in. And that means Ignore Pain, Harden Shield, and they're simply trying to go for another keep here. They're just pushing this through as much as they can, and they might be able to get the kill against Lumpy. Oh my god. Lumpy is down, and that's the end of that. Kel'Thas annihilated. Now Tychus at the top lane. He's the only one who's still trying to get the Punisher here. Everybody else is already trying to defend here. CHromie is back, and that allows them to go to the top. They might even be able to go for the Punisher. With a 5 versus 4 right now and Kel'Thas missing, I mean, who are you going to use to really get close enough to get those last 7 minion stacks? It's only 7, but if they really zone them out hard, they could actually get it. And they might. They're really just trying to set up the line right here at the front. Storm, Grenade, all that they need to do to really get this. But we already have them poking. They're still likely to get the Punisher here. Very likely. Teloof is already trying to get the Storm in, but he has the pressure against ETF. They have to dance away. Kel'Thas is not there yet. 16 against 33. We are 20 against 33. They commit. They go in with only 4 against Storm talents. 36 of those minions have been taken. And there's the time trap again. They're trying to get the back line. They might get the Punisher. The question is, are they going to lose heroes here? Because that's the likely outcome if ETF falls now too. They're trying to hit it again, but we have Neon this time missing his Sandblast. There's the Punisher. Mosh pit against Rhaegar. That's the hero that they needed. Uther is down though, and he did not have Redemption up yet. They don't have that 20. Bad Benny moves away. There's the Phoenix. Doesn't really do a whole lot there since they can't lock him down. We have again Neon with the extra pressure, but Neon is down once more. Second time that he dies. He's at 94,000 damage, but he's really starting to be a bit too far up at the front where he can be taken down by the opponent, and that is another fort that for now the Misfits can take down. They have some momentum for them. They still lost, of course, that fort on the keep in the mid lane, but they at least have some potential pressure here. Rhaegar didn't even make a choice on 20 yet. For now, we're having a 5 versus 4 push up at the top with the Punisher still surviving for a bit longer. They should be able to get the second tower too if they really focus on it, but the Punisher is down. Wall is down on the ground. Level 20 versus 20, which in this case means Storm Shield. Bolt of the Storm for ETC. Nasty talent to take. Normally it's the Turbos that we are seeing here, but if you are able to just jump with a blink into the backline and then activate your mosh pit, you might be able to get a hero like CHromie. It also allows you, of course, to have that escape path. The Rebirth on the Phoenix is now also up for them. They are using Storm Shield on the Tassadar, and they have a Bob and Weave for Tychus. At the top lane, we are now also seeing just a simple camp being taken for the lane D-push. It's going to help, of course, quite heavily with that. They're D-pushing all the lanes as much as they can, but this is going to be about the objective again. Both of the teams find themselves in a situation in where they still have the potential to win the game. The advantage goes to Elysium. They have a keep taken down, they still have a fort in the mid lane, they have a very solid setup here, but they overall still could lose a fight. One good mosh pit against that backline, including Falstad, including Rhaegar, and you can really go for a wipe here. With the Phoenix, the Rebirth, and also, of course, Tychus and the damage output that he at this point has, it's pretty crazy. 42,000, that's how much damage he was able to dish out thus far. And after CHromie and Falstad, he is number 3 now in the top list. So right now, at this point, 94,000 damage by CHromie, and they are actually trying to snipe the bot. They're trying to snipe the bot. The rotation is too slow. The rotation is too slow. They were waiting at the top lane. They were trying to go for the camp here. They were playing the vision game and they are losing it. As you can see, that is another keep eliminated. And, well, maybe it's not. Okay, so they let it live. They let it live. Give them hope and then take it away. So keep is still there. Apparently, everybody was like, you got it. No, you got it. Like, you take it. And then in the end, nobody really took the last hit. So the mid lane is being heavily pressured. Down here, there's still a minion that they have to D-push. But that's, of course, a massive oversight. So Elysium, as strong as they are, they still have quite a bit of miscommunication. Remember that beginning of the game when they lost the fort for no reason to the first Punisher down at the bottom of the map? Now they didn't take the keep, and that's a problem. There's a shield now as well, which is going to keep it alive a bit longer. And of course that's going to fall eventually, but the thing is, as long as it's still there, there's no catapult that spawns for you where you could put so much additional pressure onto the bot lane as well. So that is an issue. One way or another, this Punisher could potentially still end the game. Because if Elysium takes it, it will go for core directly. If we're seeing it taken by the Misfits, on the other hand, it has to go through not only the fort, but also then the keep before it can really reach the core. So the chances of the Misfits ending with a Punisher here are slim to none, whereas we definitely have a massive chance for Elysium, if they're able to get it, to finish the game and make this a 2-0 victory for themselves. Person is also a little bit low on his Uther here already, and the wave is even turning against them. They're going into the back again. Is ETF jumping in? He had a mosh pit there. He had a mosh pit, but there's Blade with the potential interrupt and Bad Benny too. Again, ADRD trying to look for the potential Mighty Gust. He wants it. Here's the Phoenix. Rebirth can be used too. Mighty Gust is used. Down goes ETC. And he didn't even use his mosh pit. Divine Shield on Tychus. Curson low. Getting... Nope. Oh. Not getting away. CHromie is there to save the day and get the double kill against Uther and against Tassadar. She's at 106,000 damage by now, and with that double kill, they're in a perfect spot here, of course, once again. Again, the cleanse time loop not effective, but that's the Mortar Punisher. 2 heroes are dead. It's a 5 versus 3. They're going deep, and if they don't get a counter kill here soon, then I don't know what they can do about this. Nasty is low. Nasty. He's dead. Is he? Oh, he is! Nasty is down. It looked for a moment like he might be able to move out of this, but nope. He's fallen, and that turns it into a quick 5 versus 2. This should be the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to see Elysium taking this second game unless there is some kind of a miracle happening. Lumpy is also about to be taken down. Bad Benny is chasing him, but then they turn around against the core because they know they can simply empty it. A 2-0 victory, and they win the GO4Heroes Grand Final. The mosh pit is too late. GG, well played. Elysium takes down the Misfits with a 2-0 in this best of 3 series.